Breaking news mga kaibigan, talaga namang matataranta dito talaga yung mga dilawan at mga pinklawan dahil sa totoo lang mga kaibigan, sila lang naman talaga yung pursigido na ma-impeach si VP Sara Duterte. Sila din po talaga yung nagsusulsol, nag-uudyok sa administrasyon na hindi na mapauwi si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Sila din yung nag-uudyok, nagsusulsol at talaga namang nagnanais na makulong din sa ICC si Senator Rolando Bato de la Rosa. Kasi kung inyong matatandaan, napakainit po ng naging pangyayari noong nakaraang linggo. Sa lower house ay nagbutuhan na nga po ang mga kongresista. Sa botong 257 ay na-impeach po si VP Sara Duterte. And last week din po na-endorse, na-transmit na rin po sa Senado ang Articles of Impeachment. Okay, so last week ay kitang-kita po natin kung paano tinangkang hulihin ng operatiba ng NBI si Senator Bato de la Rosa. Subalit ito po ay nakatakbo at nakapasok po sa plenaryo kung saan ay nakaboto po ito sa pagbabago ng liderato. Okay, so naging Senate President po si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Okay, so mainit po ang nangyari. Bukod po doon mga kaibigan ay nagkaroon po ng putukan sa Senado. Okay, bago po ang putukan mga kaibigan ay katakataka na nakauwi na po, no, ang mga miyembro ng Dilawan, mga miyembro po ng Pinklawan. Kasama po dyan syempre sina Bam Aquino at iba pang mga miyembro nila. So ibig sabihin, planado po ang mga pangyayari. Okay? So ang NBI director, sabi po nila ay hindi sila nagpunta doon. Wala daw operatiba ng NBI sa Senado. Hindi raw sila doon nagpapunta. Eh sino ang mga tao doon na nanggulo, no? So ginawa lamang po ni Sergeant at Arms Head, no, ng Senado na si Mau Aplasca ang kanyang tungkulin na ipagtanggol, pangalagaan at panatilihing tahimik ang Senado. Kaya nag-warning shot po ito. Sumunod na mga araw mga kaibigan, ang sinabi po ni NBI Director Matibag ay, di ba sabi niya, wala daw operatiba ng NBI. Para saan? No? Para saan? Para sabihin niya na walang operatiba ng NBI. The other day, ay nagsalita ito. No, wala daw sa Senado ang operatiba ng NBI. Nandoon daw sa GSIS. Okay. So, bigyan ko kayo ng halimbawa mga kaibigan. Ang National Labor Relations Commission, okay, na matatagpuan po dati sa P. Florentino, no, sa Banawe, okay, Quezon City. Yung building po na kinatatayuan ng National Labor Relations Commission or NLRC, ang may-ari po GSIS. Ibig sabihin, nangungupahan ang NLRC sa GSIS. And the same thing sa Senate, no? Ang building po ng Senado ay pag-aari ng GSIS. Nagbabayad po sila sa GSIS. Nangungupahan po sila sa GSIS. Yun po ang dahilan mga kaibigan. So para sabihin po ni NBI Director na ang kanyang mga operatiba ay wala daw sa Senate kundi nandoon daw sa GSIS, eh malaking kalokohan yan, malaking kagaguhan yan, no? Kasi mismo ang Senado ay nangungupahan sa GSIS building. Okay? So, yun po ang mga pangyayari. Bakit kaya ginagawa ito ni NBI Director? Bakit tila lapastangan, no? At hindi na po sinusunod ang tamang proseso ng pagdakip, no? Wala po sa ayos ang kanyang pagdakip. Kasi nung una na pumunta siya doon, yung una po na nakita natin na tumatakbo si Senator Rolando Bato de la Rosa, ay sinasabi nila, no, na nagpunta doon ang NBI kasama po si Trillanes pero wala po silang dalang warrant of arrest. Pwede po ba yun? Wala pong dalang warrant of arrest. And after that, after further investigation, dahil nga po walang maibigay na warrant of arrest, katakataka na ang may hawak ng warrant of arrest ay si Antonio Trillanes. Tandaan po ninyo mga kaibigan na si Antonio Trillanes ay hindi po miyembro ng gabinete. Wala rin pong opisina at hindi po nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno si Antonio Trillanes. Ibig sabihin, jobless po siya. Siya po ay private citizen. So ano po ang kanyang karapatan para magsilbi ng warrant of arrest kay Senator Rolando Bato de la Rosa? Okay? So, bakit po natin nababanggit itong mga bagay na ito, mga kaibigan? Marami pong pending sa Korte Suprema. Nandyan na po yung writ of habeas corpus na ipinail ng mga anak ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Nandyan din po yung pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Duterte, no, na kung saan ay kinu-question po yung proseso ng pagdakip sa kanya. Okay? Napanood din po natin ng makailang beses, no, ang Senate hearing na isinagawa ng dating chairperson ng Foreign Relations na si Senator Amy Marcos, kung saan dito natin natuklasan ang malaking paglabag ng gobyernong ito ni President Ferdinand Romualdez Bongbong Marcos Jr. At kung inyong mapapakinggan ang naging dahilan at paliwanag ni dating DOJ Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, yung 9851, Republic Act 9851 daw ang ginamit para isurrender si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Okay, so marami po ang question. Tama ba ang naging pagdakip kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte? Kung mali ang naging pagdakip sa kanya, bakit? No, bakit ang mga dilawan at pinklawan, no, ay tila yata nais na gawin din kay Senator Rolando Bato de la Rosa ang ginawa kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Ayan, so siyempre sa bagay na ito kailangan ng interpretasyon sa ating saligang batas. Okay, at ang ginagamit nga pong dahilan ni dating DOJ na ngayon po ay ombudsman na si Jesus Crispin Remulla, isinurrender ang dating Pangulong si Rodrigo Roa Duterte pursuant to the Republic Act 9851. Kaya ito po ang tinalakay ng Korte Suprema sa Cayetano, Pangilinan versus Cayetano. Okay. So dito po ay malinaw na malinaw ang naging interpretasyon ng Korte Suprema sa pamamagitan ni Associate Justice Marvic Leonen. Ang una pong tanong ni Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, nang kumalas ang Pilipinas sa utos ng Pangulo, no, sa ICC, mayroon ba itong provision na nilabag? Okay. So, meron bang provision na nilabag? Ang paliwanag po dito at sagot ng abogado ay meron daw. Okay? Meron daw. Kasi common sense na raw ito. Pero, dahil sa napakatalinong pagpapaliwanag, talaga namang hinimay-himay ni Associate Justice Marvic Leonen kung ano yung nakasulat sa ating batas, no, sa Republic Act 9851. Okay? Sabi nga po ni attorney, no, ni Justice Leonen, saang batas nakasulat na tinanggap na ng Pilipinas ang ICC bilang isang dagdag na hukuman? Ang sabi naman po ni Attorney Romel Bagares, halos kopya ng Rome Statute ang Republic Act 9851. Kaya implicit na may additional layer or complementary role ang ICC. Ibig sabihin daw nito, common sense na raw yon. Kahit hindi na raw nakasulat, kahit hindi na raw in-specific, no, ng batas na kailangang i-consider ang ICC bilang dagdag na hukuman. Okay? Pero ito po mga kaibigan, noong nag-aaral tayo ng law, sabi ng aking professor, ang ating batas may be too harsh, but it is straightforward. Ibig sabihin, napaka-specific po ng ating saligang batas. Kung hindi po ito nakasulat, kung wala pong provision ibig sabihin hindi ito binded. Okay? Ibig sabihin wala itong bisa. So kagaya nga po ng sagot ni Attorney Romel Bagares, ay common sense na raw yon, implicit na raw yon na may additional layer or complementary role ang ICC. Hindi po ganoon. No, sapagkat kung ganun po ang paliwanag at ganun po ang pagkaintindi natin sa ating saligang batas, marami pong magkakaroon ng problema at iisipin po na, ay nako, common sense na yun, pwede na yun kahit hindi nakasulat. Hindi po ganyan ang ating batas. Ang Kongreso, mga kaibigan, ayon po sa paliwanag ni Marvic Leonen ni Justice, kinopya nga po yung core crimes, no? Andyan po yung crimes against genocides, yan, no? Crimes against humanity, war crimes, crimes of aggression. Kinopya lamang po yung mga yon, no? Pero hindi nila isinama yung ICC, ang prosecutor, wala po, no, yung complementarity o yung ibang procedure na nakasaad po sa Rome Statute, no? Hindi po nila isinama iyon sa ating saligang batas. Kaya hindi na po binded yung mga bagay na iyon. Ibig sabihin, kinakailangan nating interpretin at intindihing mabuti yung Republic Act 9851. At sabi pa nga po ni Justice Marvic Leonen, no, yung mga provisions, yung mga procedures na yan, yung mga powers ng ICC ay gumagana lamang dahil mayroong isang kasunduan o mayroong isang treaty na nag-uugnay o nagiging binding, no, sa mga ito. Subalit kung wala, in the absence of the treaty, mga kaibigan, ay hindi po maaari, no? Hindi po maaari at wala pong mangyayaring ganoon. Okay? So, kung ganoon po, mga kaibigan, malinaw na po, no? Malinaw na po itong desisyon na ito ng Korte Suprema. Hindi po maaaring hulihin si dating si Senator, no, Rolando Bato de la Rosa, because wala na po yung treaty nang kumalas po tayo bilang miyembro nito. Okay, so ang tanong pa nga po ni Justice Leonen, nang kumalas po tayo sa ICC, meron bang nilabag ang Pangulo? Meron bang nilabag si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte when he decided na umalis sa ICC, no? Meron ba? Okay? So, yun po, mga kaibigan. Ang sagot po, wala. Therefore, ang sabi naman ni Attorney Bagares, kailangan ng approval ng lower house at ng upper house. Mali, no, si Attorney Jam. Sapagkat yung nakasaad po sa batas natin, sabi po ni Justice Leonen, malinaw po doon na noong magpasya ang Pilipinas na maging miyembro tayo ng ICC, pinag-usapan, niratify ito ng lower house at ng upper house. Ibig sabihin, mayroong approval, okay? Mayroong approval, okay? So, yun po, no? Mayroong approval ang lower house at ang upper house kung magiging kumbaga magpapasya ang Pilipinas na maging bahagi ng ICC. Kailangan ng kanilang approval. Pero, hindi po nila isinulat doon sa ating batas na yan na paano naman kung kakalas na tayo sa ICC. Kailangan pa ba ng approval ng lower and upper house? Wala na po na nakasaad doon. Ibig sabihin, mayroon ng karapatan ang Pangulo na kumalas sa ICC. Okay. Kahit na po walang approval ang lower and upper house dahil hindi po nila doon isinulat yung pamamaraan, yung proseso ng ating pagkalas. Okay? So, dahil wala na po tayong treaty, therefore, at wala namang din nilabag ang Pangulo, 2019, officially, we are no longer a member of the International Criminal Court. And because we are no longer a member, wala na po silang powers para hulihin, dakpin si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte. And much more, syempre hindi na nila pwedeng hulihin si Senator Rolando Bato de la Rosa. Okay? So, para po sa hindi nalinawan, no, panoorin at pakinggan po natin, no, ang argument na po ito, no, ni na Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, no, at ni Attorney Romel R. Bagares. Ito po yung tinalakay nila, Pangilinan et al. Versus Cayetano et al. Okay, this is an oral arguments. Okay, so malinaw, ano po ang masasabi ninyo dito? Okay, hindi po bias ang Korte Suprema, napakalinaw po ng kanilang paliwanag. Okay,
the President initiates and writes the content. Therefore, the President initiates the crafting and writes the content of that instrument which has the effect of law, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. The effect of treaty on domestic legislation, I think we need to qualify it a bit in order to be able to see how it relates to domestic law. Okay.
Very well, Your Honor.
International law has traditionally affected the relationships of two states, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Insofar as the subject matter of international law, especially of treaties before, it was only between state to state, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, as far as classical
Yes.
international is
And
concerned.
therefore, whenever there is a treaty under the old conditions, it only affects the roles of the representatives of the state vis-a-vis another state, correct?
Yes, Your Honor,
Yes.
as to the procedure, Your Honor.
And
that's
of
correct.
course, there is a possibility that the treaty will also affect the relationship of the citizen of another country sojourning or passing through the other state. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
In which case, therefore, that treaty has effect only because it commits the host state to the other state as to how it will treat the nationals from the other state. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. Okay. The third situation is when a treaty, like a human rights treaty, has the effect of committing a state with respect to its behavior, with respect to its own citizens. Is that not correct?
Agree, Your Honor.
Yes. Tax treaties, are they of the first, the second, or the third kind?
Well, that concerns, usually tax treaties, Your Honor, has a bilateral nature.
Yes.
So it concerns, it
The
would
second.
concern
Yes.
simultaneously, Your Honor,
It affects whatever taxes that a boxer who boxes in the
Yes, Your
United
Honor.
States earns. Therefore, the treatment on income tax is dependent on the tax treaty. Is that not correct?
yes, Your Honor.
VFA, visiting forces agreements,
That's correct, Your Honor.
also with respect to the second, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, with respect to the treaty that we are now considering, it has as its core obligations of the state vis-a-vis its nationals. Is that not correct?
Yes, and more, Your Honor.
And with respect to that, it internationalizes 4 sets of crimes. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. It creates not only an obligation, but also liability for the first time, correct?
Yes, as a
Well,
permanent
for
court,
some,
Your
but
Honor.
not all.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And these 4 sets of crimes are genocide. The second is war crimes.
Yes, Your Honor.
The third is crimes
Crimes
against
against
humanity.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the third one is the crime of aggression.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct? Okay. So with respect to these 4, it means that a state is committing that it will not commit all of these crimes vis-a-vis its own nationals. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's one part of the Rome Statute, Your Honor.
Yes, the Rome Statute. That is the core part because International Criminal Court has a crime that it prosecutes, correct?
The most serious crimes, Your Honor.
Yes. Well, in terms of violations of the Geneva norms, it is not most serious but grave,
Yes, Your Honor.
correct?
And they have been...
in terms of The Hague, it is serious,
Yes, Your
not
Honor.
grave, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
In terms of crimes against humanity, it depends, correct? Yes, and there are, of course, the introduction lately in the Rome Statute of gendered crimes, which are not found in the Geneva Convention clearly or in the Hague Convention. Is
Yes,
that
Your
not
Honor.
correct?
That's
Okay.
correct, Your Honor.
So we have to qualify that. The point there is that here we have an obligation of the state vis-a-vis its nationals, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And with respect to the Rome Statute, before it was ratified by the Senate, there was already a law, correct?
Yes, 1 year
Yes.
before, Your Honor.
But there was a law.
That's the
Before.
RA 9851, Your Honor.
Yes, which your group helped in negotiating, correct?
That's correct, Your
Yes, and Republic Act 9851, therefore, is a law which gave the President more powers to accede to that particular treaty, correct?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor, because that's
Yes.
provided in Section 15
Now,
of
in
the law,
terms
Your Honor.
of Republic Act 9851, is there an acceptance of the procedures under the Rome Statute?
Yes, Your Honor, because the core crimes are there, Your Honor.
No procedures,
The procedures are not laid down
not
in
laid down. In fact, there is only one specific provision in the Republic Act 9851 which refers to conventions and treaties which have already been ratified. Is that not correct?
That's in Section 15, Your
Yes.
Honor.
It does not mention the Rome Statute,
It
correct?
does not, Your Honor.
Republic Act 9851 was not the authorizing statute for the President to accede to the Rome Statute.
No, Your Honor, it's independent but complementary, Your Honor.
Yes. So if Congress wanted to bind the future generations with respect to the remedies under the Rome Statute, it could have as easily provided in Republic Act 9851. Correct?
Well, we believe, Your Honor, that in fact the Rome
Could
Statute.
it have provided in 9851 that the law authorizes the President and therefore accepts, the House and the Senate accepts, that there will be complementarity, there will be an added layer in terms of these crimes?
Well, implicitly that is provided for, Your Honor, in Section 15 and Section 2 of the law, Your Honor. Because there's an enumeration there, Your Honor, of so many obligations and
That's
arising
obligations.
from treaty, Your
I'm not
Honor.
referring to the obligations.
And-
There's a difference between substantive crimes and the procedure for the crimes. Is that not correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
For example, the triggers for jurisdiction. Correct?
Yes, Your
For
Honor.
example, Article 17. Correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
For example, the acceptance of the crime of aggression. 15,
That's correct, Your Honor.
15 bis, and the following. Correct?
That's correct, Your Honor,
Yes.
because the Rome
So
Statute
there
is...
are provisions in the Rome Statute which were not included in Republic Act 9851. Is that not correct?
Yes, because they're not necessarily, you know.
So
Your Honor.
Republic Act 9851 was produced through deliberations in the House and the Senate, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the House and the Senate did not produce the obligation on the part of the President to follow the rule on complementarity, gravity, Office of the Prosecutor, and the International Criminal Court,
I
correct?
disagree, Your Honor, because all over the law, Your Honor, you have
Show me.
those provisions, Your Honor.
Show me.
Well, Your Honor, let me refer the court, Your Honor, to...
Where is the provision on gravity? The requirement of gravity before prosecution.
Well, Your Honor, that is implicit in complementarity, Your Honor. And according to the...
Show me. In Article 17, it is very clear under Article 17, Section D.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct, Your Honor.
What about in 9851?
Because, Your Honor,
So the House and the Senate agreed that only these parts of the International Criminal Court will be covered by domestic legislation, correct?
because, Your Honor, that's also at the heart
Can
of
you answer my
complementarity.
question? The House and the Senate agreed that only these parts of the Rome Statute would be part of domestic legislation, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
There is no commitment under the domestic legislation to bind future generations as to another layer of a court. Is that not correct?
Well, we disagree, Your Honor. Because with respect, Your Honor, to implementing
Where
the
in the law
obligations-
does it say that the President should bind ourselves to a additional layer?
Your Honor, may I refer, Your Honor, for instance, to the age to interpretation provided for in Section
Okay,
15.
read it. Does it say International Criminal Court? Does it accept another court?
Your Honor, Section 15 says that applicability of international law in the application of an interpretation of this act. Philippine courts...
Interpretation of the act, which means the text must already be there. Where is the text which actually says that it recognizes or allows the President to add another court?
Because, Your Honor, the RA 9851 is almost an exact copy of the Rome Statute, and the Rome Statute, Your Honor, is a
You're not
codification-
answering my question, you're eliding my question. My question is, where in that statute, so that we finish immediately, so
Very
that
well,
we
Your
can
Honor.
go home,
Eh,
okay?
It's not there expressly, Your Honor.
Not expressly.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
the House and the Senate did not pass. The House, representative of the people, the Senate, elected at large, passed a law which did not include portions of the Rome Statute but copied the core provisions, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. So when the President removed the treaty or withdrew from the treaty, did it violate a law?
It did, Your Honor.
Which law?
Many
Statute.
laws, Your Honor, we are parties to so many treaties, Your Honor. For instance, the four Geneva Conventions.
Which
This
one?
one-
Which
The
convention?
four Geneva Conventions, Your Honor.
The
we
Geneva
have-
Convention.
Yes, and
Have we withdrawn from the Geneva Conventions?
we are not, Your Honor, but all of these
Have we
conventions...
withdrawn from Protocol 1 of the Geneva
Your Honor.
Convention of 1949? Have we withdrawn from Protocol 2 of the Geneva Convention?
No, Your Honor, but our
Have we
answer...
withdrawn from the Hague Convention of 1907?
No, Your Honor.
So, what are you saying? We have also withdrawn from the Geneva Convention? Are the provisions of the Geneva Conventions already in Republic Act 9851?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did we withdraw 9851?
Well, that is not our
So be
answer, Your
careful,
Honor.
counsel. Don't do what a law student does. You answer the question.
We did
Okay.
not, Your Honor.
The question is, here we have a law passed by the House and the Senate. The House and the Senate, through a law, decided that only these portions of the Rome Statute will bind the Philippines. Correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Only by treaty did we add certain
Yes,
other
Your Honor.
things.
That's correct, Your Honor.
With the President withdrawing from the treaty, did the President violate this statute?
And may
Did the
answer-
President withdraw from 9851?
May I qualify my answer, Your Honor?
Did the President
No, Your Honor.
No. So, he did not.
It did not, Your Honor.
Yes. So, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, eto ang isang mainit at napakabigat na topic. Welcome sa ating explainer. Kung law student ka o talagang gusto mo lang intindihin ang mga malalalim na legal issues natin dito sa Pilipinas, you're in the right place. Ngayon, hihimayin natin literally, iisa-isahin natin ng walang kinikilingan at puro facts lang yung landmark Supreme Court decision tungkol sa pag-withdraw ng Pilipinas mula sa Rome Statute na bumuo sa International Criminal Court. Aalamin natin ang bawat detalye ng kasong ito purely based sa official records ng Korte Suprema.
Okay, let's dive into this. Ito ang magiging roadmap natin for today's explainer. Susundan natin yung deconstructed na IRAC format para siguradong walang mamimiss. Tatalakayin natin ang case basics at doctrines, ang mismong timeline, procedural hurdles, presidential powers, international rights, at sember ang final verdict.
Mga detalye at doktrina ng kaso. Para solid ang foundation natin, ilatag muna natin ang metadata ng kaso. Ang official title nito ay Pangilinan v. Cayetano. Konsolidado ito, meaning pinagsama-sama ang tatlong magkakaibang petisyon sa ilalim ng GR NOS 238875, 239483 at 240954. Galing ang mga petisyong ito sa 6 na senador, sa Philippine Coalition for the International Criminal Court at sa IBP. Ipinrumulga ito noong March 16, 2021 at ang ponente o ang justice na sumulat ng desisyon ay si Associate Justice Marvic Ionen. Ngayon, bago tayo lumalim sa kwento, i-highlight na nating agad yung mga heavy-hitting legal principles na naging sentro ng desisyon. Nandyan ang mootness doctrine, yung limitasyon at saklaw ng kapangyarihan niyang Pangulo na mag-withdraw sa treaties, yung supremacy ng ating local statutes laban sa international treaties, ang mirror principle, at syempre, yung mahigpit na requirements para masabing justiciable ang isang kaso. I-keep in mind nyo itong mga ito dahil ito yung mga constitutional mechanics na i-deconstruct natin in a bit.
Part 2, ang landas patungo sa withdrawal.
Let's backtrack a bit sa timeline ha. Nagsimula ang lahat noong 1998 nung na-adopt ang Rome Statute At take note, napaka-aktibo ng Pilipinas sa pag-draft niyan. Fast forward sa taong 2000, nilagdaan ito ni dating Pangulong Estrada. Pero heto ang isang sobrang crucial na detail na kadalasan nakakalimutan. Noong 2009, bago pa man tayo formal na naging miyembro ng ICC, nagpasa na ang Kongreso ng Republic Act No. 9851. Ito yung sarili nating batas na nagpaparusa sa mga crimes against international humanitarian law. Then finally, noong 2011, formal na nag-concur ang Senado at nilaratify natin ang statute. Fast forward naman tayo sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Duterte. Noong 2017, may mga inihain na reklamo sa ICC tungkol sa kampanya kontra droga. By February 2018, nag-umpisa na ang preliminary examination ang ICC prosecutor. Ano ang naging trigger nito? A month later, noong March 15, 2018, nag-anunsyo ang Pilipinas na aalis na tayo sa ICC. At the very next day, isunumite ang formal na notice of withdrawal sa UN. At dahil sa rules ng Rome Statute, exact 1 year ang kailangan bago ito mag-take effect, kaya naging official ang withdrawal natin noong March 17, 2019.
Part 3. Mga balakid sa proseso at mootness. So heto na ang procedural hurdle number 1. Kailangan nating itanong direkta, justiciable ba ang mga consolidated petitions na ito? In simple terms, nasa posisyon ba ang Korte Suprema para makialam at maglabas ng desisyon sa gulo na ito o masyado na bang huli ang lahat? Dito idiniin ng Korte ang mootness doctrine. Basically, kapag sinabi nating moot, ibig sabihin may mga events nang nangyari na nag-alis doon sa mismong actual na kontrobersya. Wala nang away. Kaya kahit magbaba pa ng desisyon ng Korte, in theory, wala na itong practical value. Ano ang nangyari rito? Habang nagde-deliberate pa lang ang Korte Suprema, the UN had already consummated the acceptance of our withdrawal. Efektibo na siya. So the crucial point is, the court's hands were completely tied. Irreversible na yung aksyon bago pa man sila makapagbaba ng hatol. Bukod doon, as a collegial body, walang ipinasang opisyal na resolusyon ang buong Senado para pigilan ang ginawa ng presidente. Kahit may 6 na senador na nag-file, the court said hindi nila nire-represent ang opisyal na boses ng buong institusyon. At para naman sa PCICA at IBP, sinabi ng korte na hindi nila napatunayang mayroon silang natamong direct or specific injury sa pag-alis natin sa ICC. Part 4. Kapangyarihan ng Pangulo sa Tratado. Dumako naman tayo sa pinakapuso ng substantive constitutional issue. Ito yung matinding tanong. Pwede bang unilaterally mag-withdraw ang presidente mula sa isang treaty? Sabi ng mga petitioners, kung kinailangan ng Pangulo ng concurrence o approval ng Senado nung una para sumali, di ba logical lang na kailangan din niya ng approval nila para umalis? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is kung paano nilarawan ng Korte Suprema yung balanse ng kapangyarihan. Hindi absolute ang kapangyarihan ng Pangulo ha. Pwede siyang umatras mag-isa kung sa paningin niya unconstitutional yung treaty o sumasalungat sa prior statute natin. Pero hindi siya pwedeng umatras mag-isa kung noong una pa lang ay nilagyan na ng Senado ng Conditional Concurrence Clause na kailangan ng boto nila, o kaya naman kung yung pag-withdraw ay sasalungat mismo sa legislative authority. Oh, paano ba in-apply ng korte yan sa facts ng kaso natin? Binalikan nila yung Senate Resolution No. 546 mula noong 2011 and guess what? Nalaman nila na hindi nilagyan ng Senado ng Withdrawal Concurrence Clause ang resolusyong iyon. Wala silang nilagay na kondisyon na kailangan nyo muna kaming tanungin bago kayo umalis. Ang nakakagulat pa dyan, sa 17 ibang treaties na naratify ng Senado, meron silang inilagay na ganitong clause. Kaya sa particular na sitwasyong ito, the court found na walang nilabag na limitation o nagawang constitutional impasse.
Part 5. Mga internasyonal na obligasyon at karapatan.
Tingnan din natin yung argument ng petitioners regarding international rights. Sabi nila, kung aalis tayo sa ICC, parang binabaliwala natin ang Pacta Sunt Servanda. Nababawasan ba ang proteksyon ng mga Pilipino? May merit ba ang takot na ito? Tignan nyo itong table natin. It brilliantly illustrates the court's reasoning. Kinumpara nila yung ating Republic Act 9851 sa Rome Statute. At alam nyo ba, mas malawak pala ang proteksyon na binibigay ng local law natin. Sa torture, sakop natin kahit psychological. Sa Rome Statute, physical lang. Sa child soldiers, bawal sa atin ang kumuha ng edad 18 pababa. Sa kanila, 15 pababa. At yung jurisdiction natin, universal for all Filipinos anywhere in the world. Kaya sabi ng korte, hindi tayo nawalan ng proteksyon dahil yung sarili nating batas ay mas malakas pa nga kaysa sa tratado.
At para i-clear out yung issue na baka daw ginamit ang pag-withdraw para makatakas sa pananagutan, nilinaw ng Korte Suprema ng mismong Article 127-2 ng Rome Statute ang nagsasabi na withdrawing doesn't grant you a free pass. Yung mga financial obligations mo nandyan pa rin. Ang pakikipagtulungan sa mga investigasyong na umpisahan na, tuloy pa rin. At higit sa lahat, the ICC strictly retains jurisdiction over alleged acts na nangyari prior to the effectivity of the withdrawal noong March 17, 2019. Kumbaga, the accountability mechanisms are completely intact. Part 6, ang pinal na hatol. Which leads us straight to the disposition. Ito yung pinal, objektibong hatol ng Korte Suprema. Wherefore, the consolidated petitions in GR Nos 238875, 23943, and 24095 are dismissed for being moot. Ibinasura ito dahil wala nang ang actual na kaso, na kumpleto na ang pag-alis at tinanggap ng UN bago pa man may mailabas na hatol, at walang ginawang formal act ang Senado to stop it. And take note, all justices concurred on this dismissal. Walang ni isang nag-dissent na talagang moot na ang issue. Para i-wrap up itong explainer natin, I want to leave you with this powerful quote mula sa ponente, si Associate Justice Leonen. Sabi niya, ang batas ay nangingibabaw kaysa sa isang tratado. Kapag salungat sa mga batas na ipinasa ng Kongreso, ang mga tratado at international na kasunduan ay dapat magbigay daan. Ang bigat noon, di ba? Itong nagsisilbing ultimate declaration ng hierarchy ng Philippine law. Nagpapakita ito kung paano naninindigan ang sarili nating mga lokal na batas para protektahan ang ating soberanya bilang isang bansa. It really makes you think about how our domestic statutes are the ultimate shields we have. Sana marami kayong natutunan sa paghihimay natin ng makasaysayang kasong ito. Maraming salamat sa panunod!